Good morning, everyone. Well, I guess on the East Coast it's midday, and in Europe it's the evening. So for me, it's morning. Good morning. How are you guys doing? I'm so excited that you're here. As you know, we are in our second workshop. We did one last night. It was so great. We had so many people talking in the chat all about music licensing, asking questions. So speaking of the chat, I want to let you know that in order to log into the chat, it's actually really easy. It might look confusing, but if you just try to type something and it will tell you to log in, you can just log in with Facebook or Twitter. It's not going to tag you or anything in any way. It's just a really fast, easy way to log in because most of us are usually logged into one of those at all times. You probably don't want to have to try to do it through email and get a confirmation and all that. So if you can, just log in through Facebook or Twitter and you'll be able to participate in the chat and ask questions. I didn't even introduce myself. I know most of you know who I am, but my name's Bree Noble. I'm the founder of Women of Substance Radio and podcast, and also female entrepreneur musician. And I am excited to be doing this workshop with Michelle Lockey. She is very experienced in music licensing for film and TV. She's been doing this for several years, and she's got so much to teach you today. So I am going to just be kind of manning the chat, go in the chat and say hi. I'd love to see who's here. I know some of you told me you were going to be here, so I'd love you to go in the chat and let me know you're here. And you can put questions in there along the way, and I will be copying them. Oh, Michelle's drinking something over there.
Sorry, it's
okay.
seltzer water.
Yum. You can put questions in along the way. I'll be grabbing those questions and we'll save most of them to the end unless something, really seems appropriate to mention at that moment, then I will. So you're going to want to stay to the end, to the question and answer period, because that is where just like a lot of really nitty gritty stuff gets answered that might be a burning question for you that you haven't even thought of yet. So put your questions in there, and I am going to let Michelle introduce herself. I'm going to push it over to her as the presenter, and I'll see you guys in the chat.
All right. Hey, everybody. I'm Michelle. Thanks so much for joining us. We've got a jam-packed hour here, so I am going to get started. I'm just going to share my screen. It's going to get a little weird here for a second, but that's okay. Has this little super, thingy. Let me bring the PowerPoint. All right. This should be coming up here in a minute, so if you can't see it or something like that, just Bree, give me a holler or whatever.
You're good.
All right.
I see it.
Great. So we're going to talk about what can music licensing do for your music business, or how to make money licensing music. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. I went to school for biology, and I always did like science, always did like music. I did want to sing when I was younger, and somehow just never got encouraged to go that path, and didn't know much about it. So I went into the corporate world of biotechnology and became, from the science part, I started training our customers and employees on the science and the analysis and everything they needed to know, and created the training department at my old job. And then about 10 years ago, I started took singing lessons. I got more into the choir, and I started, wanting to play out. I already knew piano and music theory, so I took up keyboard again, and then ukulele and guitar. And so now I write songs and I perform out. I was laid off in 2013 and decided that I was just going to go for this whole music licensing thing as well. And I didn't really know about it that much until about 2009. I was writing music for myself, as an artist, and I was writing country music. And then I heard about Taxi, and I went to one of their rallies. They have a yearly convention, and it was great. It kind of opened up all these new doors about songwriting and making a living from songwriting, and making a living writing for film and TV. There was definitely an education curve when it came to that, because there's just a lot to know, and it's very different from writing from the artist's perspective. And then I probably officially began writing for film and TV in 2012. Even though I was writing before then, I wasn't really targeting it for the appropriate way for film and TV. So now, since 2012, I've got about 200 plus songs in my catalog. I have placements in over 40 shows and in over 20 different networks. These are some of the placements here. Rain, Longmire, Dance Moms, Benched. I've got stuff on Lifetime, on Discovery, and ABC Family. And the list keeps growing, which is great. And BMI Day is tomorrow, so our royalty statements should come out tomorrow, along with a deposit. So I'm excited because some of the bigger placements should be on this royalty statement. So yay. I'm trying not to think about it because I always like wait till royalty day. It's, you know, you just gotta be patient. So now, in addition to doing that, you know, I do like training and leading and developing things. It's just part of my nature and who I am. So I started teaching some live workshops. They're like one-day in-person workshops. I've had 2 of them here, and then I was hired twice to speak at songwriting, like small songwriting conferences. And so I really enjoy giving back and sharing my knowledge. So I started developing these online workshops as well, because that's also what I used to do for my old job. So that way you can, you know, reach more people with the information that they need to know. And, you know, my goal is to try to take years off your learning curve, since it took me about 5 years to actually learn this stuff before I started to, you know, to see fruition or get whatever fruition for this business. So I want to try to take that learning curve and make it a lot shorter for you guys. So what is music licensing? Music licensing is basically somebody secures your song to synchronize to picture, film, TV, video, ads, and games. And you can really do a lot for film and TV, and film and TV can do a lot for you. They need songs and instrumentals to provide depth and emotion to a scene. And music fans are turning to film and TV to discover new songs and artists. A lot of times, you know, when they hear music, especially in anything that's a montage or in the opening scene or ending scenes, they are looking online to see where they can buy that music. I've had people email me about placements that I didn't even know about, and they're like, "Where can I buy this song?" And so then I would release it because they wanted to actually buy it, which I thought was an awesome thing rather than streaming it. I even offered to give the song to a fan for free, and they said, "No, I want to buy it. You know, I want to support you," which is great. So it's definitely will open up that kind of income stream as well. The money comes through what we call sync fees. Sync fees are upfront fees to use your master, which is the song, the recording, and sync it up to film and TV. And it consists of the right to use the master recording and then the right to synchronize it. So it's kind of a 2-pronged fee, but they kind of combine it together and they call it a master sync fee. And the income comes from your back-end royalties through your PROs. And we'll talk about some of those rates because they do vary quite a bit. Film and TV uses approximately 8 million songs in a 6-month period. And this is from Robin Frederick's book, Shortcuts to Songwriting for Film and TV, which is a great book to get. And that's not including instrumentals and cues. So that kind of opens it up really wide. So how are songs used? Well, you've got theme songs. You have a montage, with vocals most likely to enhance an important scene. You've got music that comes out of the background, like a car radio, nightclub, jukebox kind of thing. Underscore, which creates emotional impact under a scene. And, you know, when you watch TV programs now, don't watch them just for the TV show, but start listening to the music that they're using, and you'll start to hear it more and more, how it's used under a scene, when it's used, that kind of thing. There's movie trailer music. We've got music for ads. You know, ads have a lot bigger budget, so it's worthwhile to try to pursue some ad placements. There's gaming, micro licensing, where people are buying your songs to use on social media. And there's royalty free, What that means is there are sites where businesses can buy your music to use in-house in their DVDs or their training. This is stuff that's not broadcast, so it's not subject to back-end royalties. People might want to buy your song for their photography business, or an online commercial or something like that. And I've made quite a bit of money from the royalty-free side of it, so it's all part of the equation. Then there's also retail. When you go in a grocery store and you hear music playing, there are places that will shop your songs out for retail radio play, and you can get money from that. There's also something called direct licensing, which we as artists and the songwriters in this field are trying to stay away from direct licensing, because that is performance royalty free. So that means the film or TV show just pays one upfront fee and you get no back end royalties, which can really bring down your income stream in the long run. So it's kind of a little bit of a scary prospect if royalties go away, because some companies are trying to push that. So we'll talk about how to kind of avoid that scenario. I would love to show you some examples of placements that the music doesn't play so well. So through this webinar, so towards the end, I will put some links to examples of some of the placements that I've gotten for you that you can take a look at. You can just grab the link and look at it after the webinar is over, so you can see how some of my songs were used in some various ways. So the types of music that work best, almost any kind. There's all kinds of music that people need. But a lot of times the happy, upbeat, feel-good songs are going to work best, especially when it comes to ads. You can also have the sad, emotional, despair type songs. Those work very well in dramas. We hear them all the time in drama-based shows that are on. And then indie and alternative indie folk, indie pop, the blues rock, all that kind of stuff works really well. And there's a lot of requests for hip hop music as well. So almost anything, as long as you are targeting it and pitching it appropriately, which we will also talk about. One thing you want to do when you're writing, though, is to make a list of common themes and try to have songs in your catalog about fear, loneliness, sadness, family, love, despair, all kinds of love. There's falling in love, there's falling out of love, broken love, there's death, all those kinds of things. And you can kind of think of all the emotions that would go underneath that, and try to have several songs in each one of those areas in the styles that you're good at to have on hand to pitch to film and TV. So a lot of times, and the biggest thing is crafting the songs appropriately, and usually we're going to craft them to a listing or a search. This is what a listing looks like, and I'll break it down over the next few pages. So basically, this one is telling us they're looking for songs with a positive, acoustic-based piano and guitar, singer-songwriter songs with male vocals. Please submit emotionally uplifting, mid to up-tempo songs in the general stylistic wheelhouse of artists like Jason Mraz, Joshua Radin, and Daniel Powder. Solid song structure with uplifting melodies and a chorus that sounds like something you'd hear on the radio should make them happy. Be sure your lyric themes are positive, feel good, and universal. Avoid specific names, places, dates, times, brands, and profanity. And then, most importantly, that was ice, sorry. Do not copy or rip off the referenced artists in any way, shape, or form. Use them only as a guide for feel, texture, and tone. Because what you would do, like if you saw this listing, you would go and listen to those artists, you listen to several of their songs, but then you need to kind of create your own sound. Because if we get too close to these artists, people are worried about lawsuits, and we've seen, recent lawsuits come up. If a song just sounds too close to another song, usually they're complaining about the melody, but they can also start to complain about the feel or a lyric that was used. So we just have to be really careful about coming close, but not too close. and it takes a little bit of practice to do that. But this is generally something that you're going to look at and be like, okay, I'm going to write a song for this particular listing. So one thing about crafting the songs appropriately, they don't have to be hit songs. Like some of the listings, like the one previously, you know, so they want a chorus that sounds like it could be on the radio, but they don't have to be these kind of huge production based songs, you know, every single time that you do it. Universal lyrics is something that is very important when you're writing for film and TV, and I'll explain what those are in a minute. And just watch out for attention grabbing instruments, meaning if there's something really distracting going on in the instrumental and they want to try to use it underneath a scene, that instrument might distract from the scene. But that doesn't mean you can't have some fancy guitar lead or something like that going on, because they might use it like for a theme song or, you know, some kind of montage, or, and I'm thinking of one of the songs I have that was a theme song for a car show, where they're fixing up race cars, and it has like this massive kind of guitar riff and all that stuff that was perfect for the theme part of it. But you wouldn't use that probably underneath a scene of people talking, because it's you know, very distracting. And then I also had a song that had kind of this rolling drum beat that was really cool, but I think it was passed on for one scene because it was distracting from the scene. So we didn't change it because it's had some interest elsewhere, but it's just things to be aware of. You know, a simple guitar vocal or piano vocal can work very easily for a lot of these shows. So you don't need like a ton of instrumentation every time you do a song or an instrumental. We talked about writing for themes. The biggest goal with film and TV songs is to bring out the emotions in people. So we want to bring out the emotion of the scene. We don't want to tell the story of the scene, but we want to make everyone feel what these characters are feeling. And it's getting really good with using metaphors on how to describe different emotions is kind of one of the tricks of the trade. Like, how creative can you get in describing what it feels like to have your heart broken without saying my heart's been broken? And it takes, you know, a little bit more depth and, you know, understanding and, you know, kind of looking up phrases and being creative that way. As far as arrangement, I mean, there's common structures, you know, nothing fancy or out of the ordinary. You know, you don't need all these chord changes, typical structures, verse, chorus, verse, pre-chorus, chorus, bridge, chorus, short intros. You want to make sure you have short intros, and what we call button endings, which means no fade out. A song that fades out does not work well when you're trying to piece it together to a scene. And a lot of times I'll end the song without a full chorus. You know, I might just do like the hook lines as taglines or something like that. Just depends on the feel of the song and how I craft it. All right, we'll talk about universal lyrics here for just a second. I'm just gonna get a quick drink.
So while you're getting a drink, I just want to say we don't have very chatty people today. So maybe you missed the beginning where I explained how to enter the chat. We had like a super chatty group last night. So totally don't feel, you know, uncomfortable about entering stuff in the chat. I'd love to say hi to you. I'd love to grab your questions. All you have to do is start typing in there, and then it will prompt you to log in with something. And the easiest way is to use Facebook or Twitter to log in, and then you can just go ahead and start typing, and it will recognize who you are.
Okay, cool. Yes, please feel free to chat and ask questions in the chat for sure. So a universal lyric is a lyric that a large number of people can identify with or relate to. It's a lyric that will not conflict with the specific content of a scene. And that's again from Robin Frederick's book, Shortcuts to Songwriting for Film and TV. You don't want descriptions, names, details, have it be action oriented. Like I ran down the street and turned left or something like that. You don't want to tell the story. So here's an example of a universal lyric. You know, I walk around parading as someone someone I thought you thought I should be. I fill in the gaps with dressed up distractions, disguising the facts with secondhand seams. Now, I'm not really telling a story here, but I'm giving an idea that this person is pretending to be somebody that he's not. And I say he because it's a guy that sings it on my song. And the chorus is, my masquerade plays on, but I'm not fooling anyone. My masquerade plays on and on and on. So it's very universal. It kind of gives the idea of hiding something or being someone else. The music, which I can't play here, but again, I can post the links later, kind of gives that overall feel of this kind of stuck sadness. This is Ingrid Michaelson's song, Everybody Love, and it's very universal. So we have her verse, we have fallen down again tonight. In this world, it's hard to get it right. Trying to make your heart fit like a glove. What it needs is love, love, love. Everybody wants to love. Everybody wants to be loved. Oh, oh, oh. Very cute, repetitive chorus that everyone remembers. The verse is just kind of giving us the feeling of not feeling loved. And the second verse is, happy is the heart that still feels pain. Darkness drains and light will come again. Swing open your chest and let it in. Just let the love, love, love begin. So she's using these metaphors to describe this feeling of brokenness and darkness when you're not loved, or you can't open yourself up to love. So it's very creative in the way she uses the metaphors to express those feelings. So one thing too is about crafting songs is to be able to get what we call broadcast quality. I do have examples. I'll post a playlist when we're done too for you to listen to some before and after examples of what's not broadcast quality versus what is. And mainly it's a combination of things. It's not only great production, but the lyrics and the instrumentation and the way it's sung all have to work together to create this emotional feeling and then have this certain quality of production about it. And to find that out, you can also start listening to some of the songs that are on film and TV and just listening to the quality of their production, and then compare them to some songs that you have too, to make sure they're on par and on level with what's being placed now. As far as vocals go, it depends on what they're using it for, but a lot of times the vocals should be a little bit more down in the mix than you might be used to for artist songs. Doesn't mean they're quiet, but they're kind of blended a little bit better, and they're not quite as out in front. And that's just so it doesn't interfere with any scene that it might be played in. We'll talk here about crafting some cues, but instrumentals get a lot of placements. And so, making sure you have an instrumental version of your song that can be used with a button ending and the short intros. And then you could pull some cues out of that by cutting out like 30 and 60 seconds from that instrumental and using those. So what are cues? Cues are instrumental music that's used for a sound effect. It's used in a film or TV production to support the goal of the scene. A majority of the cues are used, are instrumentals to avoid having that vocal that conflicts with dialogue. So always create an instrumental version of your song because it doubles your chances of getting placement. Cues build tension, so but you can use them for budding romance, a bittersweet goodbye, fight club, bar scene, etc. And of course ads, you use these 30 and 60-second cues all the time. But you can make them at 30 seconds, 60, or a full 3-minute instrumental, depending on what the need is. So the biggest thing, and I mentioned this before, is studying the TV shows. So there's a great site called tunefind.com, and you can go search your favorite shows, and it will list all the music that's been used in the show. And then you can start to listen to that music and find some shows, and music that your music is similar to. And once you do that, you can look up the show's music supervisor, and either through like Internet Movie Database or LinkedIn, you might be able to make a connection with them and, and let them know that you have a song that would be perfect for this type of scene in the show that they're working on. But definitely studying what's out there is the biggest educator when you're crafting your own music for film and TV. Okay. Okay, questions about, that's just an overview of kind of crafting songs appropriately. We're going to get into the business side here a little bit.
Hey, Michelle, type something into the chat. I just want to make sure it's working because nobody's chatting. But I know there's like over 40 people here because I can see who's on the page.
Right.
So come on, guys. I want to talk to you. We'd love to hear your questions.
I see, actually, I see questions.
Oh, that's weird. Okay, well, that's obviously
Good
my
morning
problem
from San
then.
Francisco. Good
Oh my
morning.
gosh, hold on. Let me see if I can figure out why I'm not seeing the questions.
Good morning from Maryland. That's where I am.
That's so weird.
Yeah,
I wondered why I kept seeing things from like 4 months ago. So, I wonder why I can't. Here, let me try.
You have to log back in.
Let me launch this page again.
Okay, so I'm just going to scroll down what you're looking at so I can see if I can answer these questions before we move on. So we don't have handouts, but I think we're recording this, so we'll have a replay.
We will. Everyone that signed up for this will get to see the replay if they want, so you can go back and go over some parts that you
Hi,
need.
Kate from Durango, Cannon Dolls. Yes, I know you guys. Woo. DC, excellent. San Francisco, Trippy. Hi. All right, let me scroll back up because there's a couple questions here. We'll talk about pitching. There's some questions here on like, where can you find listings? There's questions about taxi. We're getting ready to get all into that. And for taxi, do you submit songs that sound like completed radio-friendly tracks or just well-produced home studio tracks that are clean, but are obviously not done at Abbey Road? Both, all of the above, David. Sometimes I'll have, if the listing is like a really high bar, we call it, I'll submit something that's better quality. And then other times, just if they want a simple guitar vocal, they get a simple guitar vocal, and it doesn't have to be like all crazy. I can't read this blue like names.
I know, it's hard to read.
Affy or Ali, I can't tell. And my glasses probably need to be like a better prescription. I will let you know how I use Taxi to get my first song placed. And let's see if there's anything else. Okay. How do we find producers who have experience in creating broadcast quality songs? So, and I'll talk about this too, but I'm a member of Taxi. You can join their forum for free. And in their forum, they've got sections for like peer-to-peer, collaboration corner. They talk about the listings. They talk about the rally. So you can go on there and introduce yourself, say, I'm trying to get into this. I'm looking for some collaborators who know how to produce music for film and TV. And that's how I found everybody. And then I met them at the rally, like in person, and just started collaborating together. It's really great. So somebody asked, Mojo asked, do music supervisors listen to a song and think, I could use this if it were an instrumental, or should we actively shop the instrumental version separately? I always have both copies, so I put them into something like box.net, which we'll talk about that too. And then I will send them like a link they can stream or download. If for some reason I forget to put the instrumental, I always let them know the instrumentals are available. I think they can listen and hear that behind the vocal. And when I get songs signed to publishers, like music publishers and music libraries, they always ask for an instrumental version as well. And I think they pitch both when it comes to that. Let me just see if there's anything else pressing, and then I will move on and we will answer more of these questions later.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out why I'm not logged into the chat, so I'm working on it.
It doesn't like you.
It doesn't. I don't get it. I was like all over it last night. Now for some reason.
Affy. Okay, great. Yeah, that blue writing is like weird. It's like some of the letters are distorted. As far as songwriting and crafting these tools, I don't think you use anything really special for writing. I do use Master Writer for its rhyming dictionary and its thesaurus. They're awesome, and they give me more than what's like on the internet, like on RhymeZone or something. But I do not use it as like a database or anything like that. But I use it all the time for rhymes. You can do close rhymes, far rhymes. Sometimes it comes up with 9 pages of rhymes. You're like, ooh, that's a cool word, and then you can build a lyric around that. And I use Logic to record with. All righty. Hi from Nashville. Hi from the UK. I'll talk about, Gavin, I'll talk about taxi and whether it's worth it or not. I'll tell my entire story. So let me go back to the Hangout, and hopefully I'm still sharing. It's going to go through like a really funky thing here for just a minute. You are screen sharing, it's telling me. So let me go back to this. All right, can you see the PowerPoint?
In a sec, it's doing the crazy thing. Let's see, there we go. All right,
Okay.
yes.
So we'll talk about the business side. We'll talk about pitching. I'll give you all my what's worked for me, what to look out for. Let's talk a little bit about the business side and the money part. So your PROs obviously are there to collect your performance royalties, and that counts as broadcast royalties too. Each of them, have their formulas. For basic placements, it kind of works out the same. But if you have a vocal placement, and especially a vocal placement or an instrumental that's over a minute long, BMI pays what's a super rate for that, and they call it like a super vocal or super instrumental. So you get something tagged onto that. And as far as I know, ASCAP does not have that right now. And people have switched from ASCAP to BMI. The people I know who've gotten a lot of vocal placements for that reason, to get some extra money that way. You should be registered with one of them. But you don't have to register all your songs right away unless they're, once they get placed, like if you place a song direct with the music supervisor, then you can go ahead and register your track. If you get it signed to a library or publisher, they'll register it for you. So it's not like an urgent thing, like every time you write it, you gotta register it with your PRO. Now, if you're performing live, some of those songs, you might as well register them, because BMI and I think ASCAP both have this live thing where you can put in all your songs that you play, and you get money for that, which is cool. So I want to talk about this thing about rates, what you get paid for the songs. So they do vary widely for the placement type and the end, like the back end royalties that you get from the PROs. It all depends on the network, how long the song played, did it get a premiere spot, like the theme, opening scene, montage, ending scene, like ending credits or something like that. All those things pay more. And then depending on the network, some networks you pay pennies, some paid in dollars, depending on what it is. So we're going to look at just some examples of what I've gotten paid. So I had a placement in Rain, and it was the opening scene. It was a vocal placement, and it was under a minute though, so I didn't get a super royalty for that. But we got an upfront sync that I had just split with the publisher and the co-writer. It ended up being like a couple $1,000s for that, and then. But the back end royalty, the CW, they don't pay as much on the back end. So just an idea. So this says CW, there's the title of the show and the song, the episode, BV, background vocal, 47 seconds. I get 50% of this because the other 50 goes to my co-writer. And then this is the royalty on the back end, just for that one time it played. Then of course there's the repeats, so you get that. But then as soon as it moves to another network, like a less popular network, then the royalties will go down for those networks. But you'll still get some from that. And as it starts to circulate the globe and go to all these different countries, you'll get that too. So that was one example where the upfront sync was very nice, but the back end royalty wasn't quite as big. And then this was an example of Velocity channel, which I really don't know what channel that is at all. And a couple instrumentals were used. Well, one was a background vocal for 34 seconds, and one was an instrumental. And when this aired on Discovery Channel, the royalties were much more, but because it went to this other this strange Velocity channel, we only got like some pennies on that, which was, not that I was that excited about it, but it still contributes to the overall amount that you get paid. And then Catfish, like MTV pays pretty well. So this is a show on Catfish. It was just a background instrumental for only 21 seconds. And this is kind of my 50% was $23. So, if you get 10 of these on a couple episodes at under 30 seconds, that starts to add up. All of it adds up. And then here's another one on the Fusion channel, just a couple instrumentals used, 13 and 14 seconds, like really quick. And then the splits was like 57 cents. This was a nice one. This was a placement on Dance Moms. It had no upfront sync fee, but back-end royalties. So they did all these different, cuts, I guess, and how they used the song. I mean, there was the main thing, and then I guess they had a couple different versions. But that first royalty check, on the back end ended up being a nice big amount. And then as it circulated the globe, like more money comes in from that, varying levels. But I should do a running total of what this one placement has earned me over the last couple of years. And I haven't done that yet because it just adds to all the paperwork and everything you have to do. But this was a really nice back-end royalty fee. So don't get discouraged and you see like, oh my God, 23 cents, really? It really adds up over time, because the key to this business is that you're making a bunch of songs. And then over time, you get those songs signed, and then they get placed. And then once the placements start happening, sometimes it takes like 6 to 9 months to see that money, which is why you need to continuously write and pitch. We have this saying, write, submit, forget, repeat, and just keep doing that over and over. Eventually the circle of money will start to stream in, and your royalties statements will get bigger and bigger, and like they'll get long with all the placements you have, and then it's going to start to add up over time. I mean, it's just like any business, you kind of have to build it, and you have to keep doing things and creating product and selling product. So I, create a blend of placements, which means, I look for some of the higher bar placements. I go for just about, anything that will pay a back-end royalty, or I'll do the royalty-free stuff where you get some upfront money. So all of that together adds up to this income. And then my next goal is to really try to target some higher paying ads, because ad companies have a lot bigger budget for things, and kind of trying to get my foot in the door for the ad companies, which is a little bit harder because they're more strict. They need to make sure the songs have been cleared, like there's no other publisher signed on it, that you've got all your T's and I's and whatever is crossed and dotted on all your contracts, and they could license a track from you like the same day or something like that. So it's a bigger boy to tackle, but it can definitely be done. I've had some smaller ads, but nothing that's like been in a national commercial or anything like that yet. That is my goal that I'm working on right now. So avenues for licensing music. There's music libraries, like the big music libraries. Often they're called stock music or library music. They license to film, TV, radio, and other media. A lot of the music can be produced by the owners themselves, and then they also take submissions externally. But they can sometimes be the big boys, so they could have hundreds of thousands of tracks, and yours could get lost in the mix. It just depends. So not that you shouldn't submit to these bigger libraries, but you definitely, they are the kind of the big giants or the gorillas of the market. And there's, music libraries are technically music publishers, but I kind of made a distinction here because I'm more referring to like a boutique library, which is a smaller publisher. So they're a music library, they're still pitching your songs, you're still signing them, but they're more personal, often called boutique. They've got a smaller catalog and a smaller staff, but they have higher bar placements too. So they're targeting clients that are going to actually pay something up front, and they're going to pay on the back end. I mean, that's the goal, right? To try to get money from all angles of that placement. Oftentimes you can get to know who the owners are, and your goal would be to provide them with enough great music that now they're going to call you for things. Be like, hey, somebody made a request for this type of song. Either do you have one, or can you make one for me? And I've got that relationship with a few of my publishers, and it's nice to know that, oh, so-and-so wants this. Let's sit down and create something specifically for them. And they're going to remember you, and they're going to, try to pitch your stuff more, hopefully, and get you better placements. Then there's the ad agency. So ad agencies they create and manage ads for products. If you see any commercial, you could Google that commercial. You could find who the ad agency is in that listing. Then you could look up the ad agency and find the creatives or the producers or the editors for those ads, and you could try to start contacting them. Again, some of that information's on their website. This is a harder nut to crack, that's all. And trying to reach them on your own will just take some time and effort with emails and making sure your songs are what we call one-stop ready, that they're clearable right away, that you're targeting the appropriate commercials, or you find those specific libraries or publishers or licensing agents that deal directly with ad agencies, like those are their biggest clients, and then you get songs to those people and let them do the pitching for you. Sometimes that's easier, especially when you want to focus on creating songs and you don't have the time yourself to do a lot of this pitching, especially when you're first starting out. Then there's the music supervisor and the supervision companies. So the music supervisor combines the music and visual media to their shows, and you can again find them on any show. You look up the show, it'll list who the music supervisors are in the credits, and then you can find them on Internet Movie Database or LinkedIn. I mean, there are ways to find the contact information. With Internet Movie Database, it's imdb.com. You can get some information from there, but for any contact info, you have to buy a subscription. So, sorry, I keep swallowing that ice. So you have to get a subscription to get their information. And when you contact them, sometimes if you say in the subject line, I have 3 songs for you to listen to, they get so much email and music and stuff every day, they may not listen to that. But if maybe you say something like working together, ? Or work together, or really enjoyed this show, then you can, put in the email, I really love this show you're working on. Here's a link to stream 3 songs I think might be perfect for this show and this type of scenes. You want to be targeted about it. And, maybe there's something you have in common from reading their bio or their location that you can mention. And trying to meet some of them at conferences and that kind of thing will help, because then they'll start to remember your face as well. Okay, let's talk about pay to pitch, because there were a lot of questions about that. So I am a Taxi member, and I learned about Taxi pretty early on. Well, not early on, I guess, in my songwriting career, but I didn't really know much about it because I had been approached by other companies or found other companies that were pay to pitch, and thought they were the real deal, and it just kind of ended up not being that way. So I went to the Taxi rally where I could actually learn about what was going on, meet some people. And then I just, after that, and seeing it was legitimate and there's a lot of great people, I decided to join. And then once I started to join, I was making some songs with a producer of mine in Baltimore. So I had, I think I had 5 or 6 songs at the time that I was hoping to target for film and TV, but I still didn't really know that much about it. So I would start pitching to listings, and I'd look at these listings, but I still didn't understand quite what they were looking for. Like, I'd see a listing that mentioned love, and then I'd be like, oh, here's a song I have with the word love in it, or like, I think one song I had pitched so many times, it was ridiculous. And, Taxi has screeners, which I think is a good thing, because then they know if these songs are really going to fit what the end person is looking for, because they have direct relationships with the people who are creating the listings for Taxi. And they'll often send you back feedback, why it wasn't the right thing, or, make sure you listen to the alas or the production levels. It's not good, or the vocal or the lyric. And I finally started learning from that. And I started to then craft the music differently. I started to sing a little different based on a comment that somebody had mentioned. Your voice needs to sound like a little bit more indie or earthy in this kind of song. And I actually redid the vocal to this one song, and then I was, it got forwarded, and then we were contacted by the library. It was Black Toast Music, which a very excellent boutique library. They get me most of my placements, but because I made the changes and I listened and I started to learn from the mistakes I was making, then I started to get more forwards. I started to get more being contacted by these particular libraries. I think my first placement was on, no, I can't remember. Actually, it was on a reality show, I think through Jingle Punks, who I think I got a forward to them through Taxi. And then I sent in some music, and it was an instrumental placement, but it was still a placement. And you're like, woohoo, you know, when you see that first placement. So for me, that's been a good avenue, not just for being contacted by publishers through the forwards, but because when I'd get on the forums, I'd get feedback from my songs. I would meet people on the forum, and these people usually all go to the rally. We all wear these certain stickers on our badges. Then you would meet them in like the lobbies, and that's where you start to make the relationships. That's where you start to find collaborators. That's where you are introduced to their publishers, because some of these people are more successful than me. So they're like, hey, yeah, let me introduce you to this guy or this guy. And then I would ask, well, would you mind, working with me on a song? At the time I couldn't do much production, and I was barely playing, ukulele or whatever. So I was really in a learning curve, and just helped a lot to have that community there. And that's, what it's all about in the end, is building a community of people that collaborate with you, and then also that you're able to meet these supervisors and publishers. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. But let's talk more about the pay to pitch. When you're looking at these pay to pitch companies, what you want cheap submission fees. Taxi and Hit License are both $5. And yeah, Taxi does have a fee to join, but that's the typical cost of a conference anyway. So then you get to go to the conference for free. And if you join and then you refer one of your friends, you get like $100 off your like next yearly rate. Anyway, cheap submission fees, legitimate listings. That means if you see their listing and then you see it on like some other pay to pitch sites, word for word, somebody's copying somebody. And from what I know, taxis are legitimate. So be aware of that. It's nice to have a forum where you can talk to other successful members. You want that communication. You want conferences you can network. You want to get feedback on why a song might have been returned and not sent on, and a timely response. So most of the listings have a deadline to submit, and then the company should say, you'll hear from us within 10 to 30 days. And if you don't hear from them at all, and it just goes into oblivion, then something's amiss somewhere, and it's probably something that's not legitimate. And you want the listings to be crafted very well, so you kind of truly understand what they're looking for. So I use Taxi, I use Hit License. I know people have gotten licenses through Hit License. I've gotten a lot, they call them short lists on Hit License, where you're in consideration. I personally have not gotten a license there yet, but I've gotten many short lists, and I have many friends who do. We've talked to the owner of Hit License. We understand how his business works, because there's a lot of negativity out there for these types of sites. And, truly in the end, it's going to be up to the networking and direct communication eventually with the publishers. But these are definitely vehicles to get started, for sure. And
I agree. People tend to like to bash places like Music X-Ray or BroadJam. And for me, being an actual person that lists on those to find songs, I know that they really crack down. Like they fully vet everybody that's on there. They make sure that you're actually placing music. Yeah. And they follow up. So, I think that the idea behind those sites is very good, and they've really cracked down in the last year or so on making sure that everything's super legit.
Yeah. Yeah. And early on, I think it was more problematic in most places, and now, I mean, I think that's how I found Women of Substance Radio, is through Music X-Ray one
You
time.
did.
So
Yep.
I think so.
Yep.
Yeah. So I still am wary of sites though that promote like a lot of other things besides their film and TV pitching, like contests and stuff. But through BroadJam, though, I did win some equipment for my studio. So I'm not bad-mouthing that too much, because I won, an interface for my computer, and I won some other stuff. So that was kind of cool. And they do have kind of a community there too. I don't like a lot of extra fees tagged onto submissions. I mean, I guess you have to weigh the cost of membership for something versus like these extra fees, so that by the time you submit, it ends up being like $25. But if you do submit, make sure your songs are targeted really well to that listing. Like I'll see some stuff on other sites and I'm like, oh, I have something perfect for that. And then, as long as, if I think that I can get it, then I might pay the submission fee. But I'm very targeted when it comes to places where the listing fee, it might end up being like $20 or more. I don't like crowd reviews and peer reviews and song popularity tracking. It's like, I'm here mostly to get my songs into film and TV. Now, if those peer reviews are more like, if you could ask, do you think this song fits the listing, and you could get a review back before you submit it, that might be cool. But I use the forum. I use peer-to-peer on Taxi to sometimes say, hey, do you think this song fits this listing? And people, they're very generous with their feedback. And like I said, you make friends. Most people are legitimate on that site. But, on every forum, there's always a couple that you're just like, I don't know about this person. But my whole network of people that I work with are on there. So other ways to pitch, you could do direct submissions to libraries or the music soups. A lot of music libraries have their submission information on their websites. Some don't take unsolicited songs, and usually you have to get introduced to them through somebody else or through like a listing, like through Taxi. And then you could still contact music supervisors directly, but they're very busy people. So it's specific targeting and perseverance when it comes to contacting them, and just keep doing it. But networking and conferences, go to conferences where you can pitch music. Durango Songwriters is a great one. I think the next one they have is coming up in Boulder on September 29th. And then they have one in Santa Barbara. And it's just really got that personal feel to it. And I like going to that. I'm going to try to hit the one in Boulder, I think, because you start to meet people. And that's when things happen, is when you start to meet people. And then the Taxi Rally, of course, is great. And I haven't been to ASCAP. I was going to go one year, and not to make everybody sad, but my dog died and I couldn't go. So, and they actually gave me most of my money back, which was nice of them when I explained why. And then I heard the Sync Summit's really good as well. And there's another one I can't remember, but try to hit a couple conferences a year if you can. I mean, I know they can get pricey by the time you pay for the conference and the hotel and food and flight and all that stuff. So it's crazy, but and do your research. Musiclibraryreport.com. You can get like a week subscription to that and start looking up libraries on their site. They give you like ratings. They tell you if they're non-exclusive, exclusive, if you can submit online. They tell you all that kind of stuff. And it's a good place to start. And then you can start looking at those libraries' websites, and you might be able to email them and ask if you can submit songs, or if you can see a sample of their contract. And I just mean that so you can kind of see what their terms are, because their terms vary really widely, and we're going to talk about that in a minute too. Okay, but it's most important to start crafting the music appropriately and specifically for film and TV. Go to the conferences, learn, network, get peer reviews and critiques. Never hand someone a demo at a conference and say, this isn't my best work, but would you mind taking a listen? Because they really don't have the time to do that. So when you go to conferences, have your best songs with you. Bring a CD, but also bring a thumb drive or something. Because some of my publishers, like, I get all these CDs from these conferences, but I don't have a CD player anymore. Like, they have these small computers that don't have the DVD or the CD player. One of them said, I don't even know if I have one in my car anymore. So I don't know how worthwhile all those CDs are. I mean, there's some that go through them, but there's some that, you know, they might have to end up pitching them because they don't have that. So bringing a thumb drive, I don't know if you can see me or not, maybe not because I'm screen sharing, but if you can, my friend got this little USB thumb drive that's shaped like a guitar, and then it just pulls off the bottom and it's a thumb drive. It's pretty cool, a flash drive. And it's attached to her business card. And I've even seen business cards with a little thumb drive in the middle that you pop out. So that might be a cool thing to have. But then even some people might not like using thumb drives either. But, you know, you got to have something, right, to give somebody. But you definitely want to make sure you have nice business cards with all your info and be able to hand that to people. Okay, questions before we move on, because we're going to talk about contracts too.
I'm copying them all, so we better keep going straight through all this. You got so much material, man. I don't know. We can get through it all.
I know. All right. Some people have, and I've heard people having issues that they don't like a giveaway with their publishing. And this is, you know, a little bit different than like an artist that gets signed by a publisher, gets some upfront money, and then everything that they have is owned by the publisher. You know, this is on a per song basis, and depending on who you sign with, mostly it's like a 50% split. I mean, they get the publisher share, you get the writer share, but it ends up equaling being like 50%. And some have sub-publishing deals where you get some of the publishing as well. But there are some people that I don't want to give up my publishing. I'm like, okay, well, so then you're not going to let me sign this song anywhere where I can get it placed on film and TV. And they won't back down about it. And I actually have some songs sitting because the people I wrote with, or one of the people anyway, wouldn't sign like a songwriter agreement. And then I knew it would be trouble. Like even if I pitched the song to a publisher and they wanted to sign it, I'd have to get this person to sign off on it. And it was just too much trouble. So I just let the song sit there. And, you know, the publisher's job is to pitch, network, and plug for you. So they should get the publisher share because they're doing all that legwork and you don't have to. And I would rather get 50% of something than 100% of nothing. So, you know, let the song sit there and not make any money, or, you know, give somebody 50% to get you some placements. You know, to me, that's a no-brainer. So let's talk about types of deals. So the types of deals that you can get are exclusive deals and non-exclusive. So we'll talk about exclusive here first. The deals vary, but exclusive means that when you sign the song to them, you can't pitch it anywhere else. And you could have libraries that will own your song in perpetuity, like forever. They own the copyright, all that stuff, but you still get the writer's share. You will always get the writer's share. And they usually, when they have that kind of deal, I mean, they're getting good placements for you. They're going to work that song hard. They're going to do the work, and you're going to build a relationship with them. And I have no qualms about signing that type of deal if the place has a good reputation, if, you know, I know other people that have gotten great placements and they're just good people. Because I can just write another one. It's like, okay, you want this style? Here's one for you. Let me write another one for this person over here. Other exclusive libraries will have maybe a 1-year deal, or they'll be semi-exclusive, which means that it's just exclusive with respect to film and TV. And you can still release it as an artist and sell your own material. Some might have a 3-year deal. Some might pay you like a buyout deal where it's like they pay you $300 up front. You know, they have the song exclusively. That's the only upfront money you'll ever see, but you still get the writer's share. So it varies, and it's a little bit scary at first to just give something away for, you know, that you can't do anything else with. But if I know the person's going to give me placements, take my song. The easier, less scary thing is non-exclusive, which means I can put my song in a non-exclusive library with a publisher, and then I can also put it in another non-exclusive library. I can pitch it to music supervisors. I can do whatever I want with it. The only caveat is that in the future, it may become more problematic, because let's say you have the same song in 5 different libraries and they all pitch to the same show. Then the music supervisor is probably pissed because they got the song like 5 times. And then if they use it, they might get confused as to which library it came from, and then who gets paid. So some libraries will do retitling, so they have a different title for your song, so they know where it got placed from. But the best bet is to kind of treat non-exclusive as exclusive, or if you sign a song, let's say to Crucial Music, they're non-exclusive and they have pretty good high bar placements on the good networks, then maybe you'll sign that song as a retitle to another library that deals in a different market, like reality shows only type thing. So the chances that those songs are going to be sent to the same person are relatively small. And then you could also sign that song to a royalty-free library. So now you're going to cash in on that part of it too. So those are all good ways to go. In the future, they might put some tracking on the actual embedded in the song, like Bitcoin, or we talked about like audio watermarks, so that if they start tracking the music that way, then you're not going to be able to put it in different places. Another good thing about exclusive is those publishers can then say to their clients, I'm the only library, you will not find this song anywhere else. This is the only place you're going to find it. And some people kind of like that kind of idea that the song not being all over the place. So if you're first starting out, non-exclusive is probably a good way to go until you get more comfortable with the whole film and TV thing. I just talked about buyouts. That's basically write a song, for us. We're going to pay you between $300 and $500. You won't see any more upfront sync, but you'll still get the back end royalties. And anytime you can do that and actually get some money up front, that's a good thing. So finding those types of deals, and you can find them through like listings and stuff as well, and then start making relationships. And a lot of times they want those in like bulks of 10, so 10 songs or instrumentals up front, and then they'll kind of pick and choose what they want. Now, if they take all 10, that's like $3,000. So cool. And I talked about royalty-free, and you can just Google royalty-free libraries. There's all kinds of them out there. Just watch out for anything that does this direct license thing. And I think you can tell, they'll either tell you, it'll say performance royalty-free, and they'll have film and TV deals, and they'll say performance royalty-free, and that's what you don't want. You don't want to give away your performance royalties, because if that's ever shut down, that's going to take a big chunk out of our pocket as songwriters. Okay, so summary, building an income. As far as royalties go, you'll continuously earn money every time it airs. Of course, it depends on the deal and the network, how much that will be. You can get money from sync fees, which is the upfront licensing fees. You get money from the royalty-free stream. And again, all the dollars vary by show and network and use type. But it all adds up. You get, if you do gaming, you get some upfront money from that. Maybe you're going to get more digital downloads, purchases from viewers who like your song. The goal is to license songs and sign them in many places and hopefully get them licensed at many shows to make it pay off in the long run. Just like anything, again, you got to make more product, you got to sell more product to build your income, and you want to make all types of deals to do that. It all does add up over time. Now, how long does it take? So in my network of film and TV people, we have this term called the 5-year plan, and Taxi actually teaches a class on the 5-year plan. It can technically take about 5 years from start to finish before you start to see some good measurable income. And I do have people in my network that are making 6+ figures from doing this. And it did, take them some time to build up everything that they do. You need to build up your catalog, you need to craft appropriately, and then you need to keep pitching and getting placements. And all of that does start to roll along and start creating its little train of income stream. And this is because, it could take up to 9 months to see money from one placement. So, you want to continually be doing this so that 9 months doesn't seem like such a long wait. The aim for this is about 80 songs, cues, instrumentals per year as a combination. That it's hard to make 80 vocal songs in a year, but if you supplement that with 30-second cues, and that can be simple as like a little ukulele and a glockenspiel, 30 seconds done, you can definitely do this. Basically, it's like just 1 or 2 things a week that you need to write. And sometimes you can maybe write up a bunch and then decide to get them produced later, or unless you can produce yourself. And then you just partner with people that can produce, and you split everything with them. Usually I just do a 50-50 split when I do stuff like that. So where am I? So my royalties went from 2011 to 2016, they went up about 170 times. And I really didn't start seriously writing until about 2012. And between 2014 and 15, I got about 10,000 from royalty-free placements, and my income's doubled in the last couple of years. So I'm in the 5-figure range. In the lower end of that, my goal is to get into the 7-figure range. So
wow,
my
7 figures, huh?
Okay. Going big.
I'm coming over to your house when that happens.
Cool. We'll do this in person. I'll fly everybody over my private jet. Just kidding. So, my goal is let's just keep doubling this, if not tripling it every year. Because, I know now that I can do this. And coming from a place where I thought I could never do this, I can do it. And if I can do it, you can do it. Most of you probably have more musical knowledge than I started with, so you can be there. You can be anywhere you want to be. You can make really $5 to $100,000+ If you just want a couple of placements just for the satisfaction of having a placement, you could do that. You could supplement your income if you just want to do this part-time, or you could do this full-time. It's all about building your catalog, crafting songs appropriately, networking, pitching, and commitment. So if you want to learn more, because this is a lot of information in this hour and a half that we're talking, and I actually have a course. It's a self-paced course, and I go into detail in every single section. We've got about over 10 hours of material, which is about 9 sections. I'll probably end up having 12 sections by the time I'm done uploading everything. I also have interviews with Q&A people from Black Toast, from Crucial, successful colleagues that are doing this for a living. I don't know if you've heard of Kathy Heller, but if you've heard a McDonald's commercial, her voice, female voice, is most likely her. She's making 6+ figures on ads, so I've got her there as an interview. People have exercises that I give you guys to do weekly. I give you templates for contracts, for keeping track of your catalog. You have access to this private Facebook group, because we really found it, when I ran this before, helpful. People could post their homework on the Facebook group or email to me, and we'd all as a community like comment, and I'd give feedback, and your peers would give feedback, which is really cool. I'm just trying to create a community of people. And then I'm going to have, like, every couple of weeks, I'm going to set up Q&A sessions, so we can just get online and kind of talk together about the course and any questions that you guys have. You get lifetime access to, and it's a living course, so I'm always going to be adding something more over time. So just to let you know, the course value is $297, and you're not going to find anything this detailed for that price. It's kind of ridiculous, actually.
It really is. I can think of one other course I know like this. It might be around this price, maybe even more, but it is nothing like the detail that Michelle goes into.
Yeah, I tell you everything. Yeah. It's like brain dump. Everything that I know, you will know. And if you think about it, by the time, if you don't want to really go to a conference or can't, afford that, the conference fee at hotels and food add up to like no money. This is less than half of the lowest conference price I think I've ever had before with people. And I want to help you guys out, and that's why I'm kind of developing these. But so you guys join, like I said, the bonuses, you get this catalog template, you get a music readiness checklist, because we're going to go through, you've got to tag your MP3s, know how to tag those appropriately and use metadata, and how to put things in your catalog appropriately, moods, emotions, and instruments, and just all this stuff that you have to have ready when you're going to pitch. I'll have a resource list as well of, some of the things I've talked about here, and then contact information for some people, and other really valuable things that you're going to want to find out. So it is a good value. And, I hate being a salesman, but it's like, this is such good value. And I really love the teaching aspect, and I just have that in me. And I like just to create these things and to teach and to help people get places. So all of this is coming like from the sincerest part of me, and I do truly want to help you. You know, I got done with some consultations yesterday, and just being able to talk to people and see them and help them with their work, you know, they're grateful, and it, you know, makes me feel good that I can kind of pass this on as well. So we do have some testimonials that we can share, and there's probably a whole list of questions too, so I should probably start answering those while.
Yeah, I've written several down, but just real quick, someone wants to know if you play an instrument, and if so, which instrument?
I do. I play keyboard, guitar, and ukulele.
And how long have you played?
I started learning piano when I was a kid, because, you know, your parents force you to do something. In the early 2000s, I went back to learn more about chords and keyboards. So I've been playing that for a while. And then ukulele, I learned in 2011. I was kind of going through a rough time, and I'm like, I want to learn an instrument, and ukulele is a fun instrument, so I'm going to learn that. And then I started guitar a couple years after that. So I'm at a point where I can record, you know, simple guitar vocal stuff. You know, I'm not the best guitar player out there, but it's good enough to get by. So.
So someone is asking, they have some songs with Crucial Music, and they want to know if like it's okay to check in with them to kind of see what's going on with their songs. And
you know, did you know there's a pitching site on Crucial in your account where if you click on that, you can see what they've been pitching it to? I don't know if you knew that. So I check there first. It should say, like, if you go to your account, it just should say pitching activity, and you can click on that and you can look and see where they've been pitching it. I mean, it doesn't hurt to send an email. I mean, they're really busy and they don't always get back to you. I don't. You know,
do you think a boutique publisher is better because you can have more direct contact with them?
Sometimes, but you know, Crucial is technically considered boutique too, just because, you know, they don't have a big number of people working there, and plus you can meet them at the taxi rallies. So I've met Tanvi, I interview her, and she'll give you a lot of insight. They're the first place I send my music every time, because we know they don't accept everything. That, you know, if they start rejecting your music, maybe they have too much of that style already. That they do get good placements for people, and they are good people. So I definitely would not shy away from that. And I mean, you could send them just a quick email saying, hey, you know, I'm so-and-so, I've got, you know, this many songs in your catalog. I'm just, you know, curious about if any opportunities have come up. I mean, I don't think it would hurt to do that. Just don't be like obnoxious about it, and check your pitch activity too. I check that pretty regularly just to see where they're pitching the music.
This is so fabulous. Okay, so Kate signed up. Katie signed up. Oh, Katie, I'm so glad you did this finally. I know you were thinking about it last time. Becca signed up. Judy signed up. Gloria, yay, Gloria, awesome. Gloria is a great instrumentalist. Gloria signed up. And let's see, Brant signed up. Bridget signed up.
Now I'm gonna have to go through and count.
I know. I think there's almost 10 there, but not quite 10. So let's see.
I'm gonna go back so I can see my face. So I can see. I'm gonna go in the live workshop thing.
I see 7 so far. Let's see. Are there more?
71 new comments.
Janet signed up. Oh, Allie signed up. We might be 10. Let's see. You guys are quick. I think we might be at 10. Wow. And Marion signed up. These are all, you know what? I know most of you guys. You guys are like the perfect fit for this. Like, I know your music.
Somebody said
I can totally see it in TV.
Somebody said they didn't see the yellow buttons. So I wonder.
There are, I did stick it in the chat a couple times, the link. It's a super long link. Sorry,
yeah,
it's a really long link, but it's actually an orange button. And
let me paste, I just want to paste the link to some of my film and TV placements. You guys don't have to play them now, but if you grab the link to put in your computer later, if you just want to see some of the different placements, this is my placement list on YouTube. Okay, were there questions on the sheet that I need to get to? Okay,
I've got a bunch. Hold on. And don't worry, if you signed up last night, you're all good. You got your bonuses. So, because someone's here twice. This girl is like into this. She is here 2 times for this workshop. workshop and she signed up. I cannot wait to see what is going on with her music in a few months. All right. So the big one I see a lot of, we saw a lot of it last night, and there's some questions about it too, is about CD Baby and TuneCore and how that affects what you can do.
Yes. So hopefully one of the people that work there isn't like on this, but let me paste this one link. But so they say that so if you sign their sync deal, they say you still own your music, you know, it's non-exclusive, but the problem is now they're listed as a publisher on either ASCAP or BMI, whichever one that you are, and you will not be able to sign that song to say Crucial, for instance. I mean, you could still pitch it as through a music supervisor, but then if you're doing the pitching directly, they're acting as publishing administrators, so they're going to get a percentage of that anyway. But you won't be able to sign those songs to certain publishers because the publisher's already listed on that song. And so, you know, you have to be wary of that. And I tell anybody, if you're really serious about doing this, you're going to have to get out of that sync deal, and start really making some connections, because it's going to narrow your ability to sign this to other publishers. But you can still release your music. Like, you can still distribute your music through that, just opt out of the sync deals. And, you know, if you have artist music that you're never going to pitch for film and TV, or you don't want to, or you just whatever, and you want to sign their sync deal just for those songs, and not pitch those yourself anywhere else, you know, that's fine. I don't know what types of stuff you're going to get back, you know, because they lure you in a bit with the whole YouTube royalty thing. Well, is it really worth $3 or $5 every now and then? You know, I mean, it's not like there's millions of dollars waiting for you and that kind of thing, unless you're getting millions and millions of YouTube hits, which if you are, you should be monetizing your own stuff on YouTube. It just seems a little gimmicky, and I know that I could make a lot more money on my own than signing a sync thing with them. That's my 2 cents.
So I just want to say, Catherine also signed up. Let me grab the other questions. There's several really good questions here. So one person wanted to know where you get your vocalist for your songs.
I'm the vocalist on almost all my songs, except for the ones that that have men's vocals on them. I'm trying to get out of the screen sharing. Hold on. Let me stop. There are a couple, like if I write like a super pop song or something like that, then that's not me vocally. So I'll find a vocalist, either the people I collaborate with know someone, or through my network of people, I'll find someone. We have this whole taxi thing. We have a super network of people, so it's really easy to find vocalists. But other than that, most of the time I'm crafting stuff that I sing. So, but it's easy. You can find vocalists on air gigs. I prefer to,
yeah, actually, you can find me on air gigs. And
yeah, I'm on there too.
Yeah.
So, but mostly if I need another vocalist, I already have a network of people that can say, oh, I know so-and-so does a great pop vocal.
Also, you guys, I know so many people, obviously, because of the radio station. So I know people in all kinds of different styles. So if you want a reference, just let me know.
Yeah.
And they will probably give you a good deal, since you're also an artist, and there's nice people out there like that. Also, okay, Carly signed up. Great. Awesome. Okay, so back to kind of near the beginning where you were talking about your different placements and the amounts that you got for them. And someone said, did you receive sync fees from all of those channels where you only received pennies when it aired?
Not all of them. I don't think Bikers Live paid, but there's a show called The Hustlers that it's about pool. And,
thanks for clarifying that.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's about pool. That's nothing else. And they actually paid some upfront sync fee, and then we got back end royalties too. I'm trying to remember if I got the back end royalties yet, because remember it takes that whole 6 to 9 months thing. I'd have to go back and check and see, but they paid some upfront, which was nice. It wasn't huge, but at least you get something, right? So not all of them do. The reality shows usually don't pay. Some channels do, but not usually. Yeah, not usually.
So there's a lot of questions about production, and so I'm going to try to combine them. So someone asked if you can make broadcast quality stuff with GarageBand, and then other people are asking, like, do you do it with Logic and then send it to some kind of a mixing or mastering engineer, or what's the process there?
You can do all the above. You can make something broadcast quality with GarageBand. I use Logic, and I took recording and mixing classes. So on the smaller productions that I do myself, I usually try to mix them myself. On the bigger projects, usually I co-write with people who can produce better than I can. So if we're in that process, they're the ones who are producing, mixing, and mastering. I find that's much better and more streamlined to have that kind of team rather than recording something and then sending it to somebody and paying him $100 to do this, another guy $100 to master, and then you have to get work for hire contracts from all those people, and you may have to do that initially, but I would try to find people that know how to produce that will co-write with you, or you just offer the 50% split to have them either mix or produce for you. That's what I would do, but you can do it at home. A lot of listings, you'll see home recordings are fine, so you don't have to go to some big fancy studio to get this done either.
Is there ever a call that has enough time leeway to where they ask for a demo and then if they like it, they ask you to produce it later? Or is it always just, we need broadcast quality now?
Most of the time it's broadcast quality now. The only time I see that kind of demo thing is if it's a listing for other artists. So you'll see pitches for artists looking for songs, and so they'll specify if they want something that's a demo or full production. Like the listing will say, only fully produced songs, or it'll say, just send us a nice quality demo. But for film and TV, they need it broadcast quality. They're not going to listen to it. Oh yeah, this has potential. Do you mind moving forward with that?
Yeah, it's just like radio. I mean,
yeah.
Same thing. And you need to have it when you need to have it yesterday usually. So yeah. They can't wait. So they're wondering about instrumentals. Like, is it just instrumentals from your vocal tracks where you're just taking the instrumental out, or do you also produce instrumentals where the instrumentation is also the melody of the song?
Both. So for every vocal song I do, we create an instrumental version. If the instrumental on its own seems kind of bland, then we might put in an instrument that'll substitute for the melody. But a lot of times I'll just pull the vocal and I won't do anything extra to the melody. And then I'll make some alternate mixes too. So guitars only, drums and bass, guitar and piano. So you kind of have these different pieces that the library can take and pitch separately. If you're crafting the instrumentals like by themselves, it's got to have a melody. It's got to have, enough of quality there to stand on its own, and little riffs and kind of unique stuff in there. So.
And if you've given your CD or thumb drive to someone at a conference, what's the best way to follow up with them later?
Well, hopefully you'll have gotten their business card as well. So if you are talking to them and then you end up handing them something before they walk away, I said, do you mind if I contact you in a few weeks and we can talk about the songs or things that you need, and just get their contact information before you leave if you can. That would be best. If you forget to, or sometimes Taxi will have panels. And at the end of the panel, you can drop a CD off and talk to these people. And sometimes you might have time to exchange information, but you have their name. And usually you can find their company that they're working with, and then you can maybe email them that way. But I always try to get contact information of people I meet directly.
And what do you do? How do you make that first contact after it's been a little bit since you saw them?
I usually send an email and hey, it was nice to meet you at such and such conference. And then it was really nice to meet you and speak with you. And I, heard you on the panel. You gave some great advice. I sent you some songs, and, I might point out this particular song I think might be useful for the show that you pitched for. I'd be interested in working with you more. So, is there a time we can chat, or how would you like to proceed? That's usually what I do. Sometimes it takes a few times to make relationships. With Black Toast Music, let's see, I got a forward to him. We got a couple songs signed that I met him at one of the rallies, but we didn't really have a lot of time to talk. And I sent him an email probably a few weeks after the rally, and he said, yeah, it was nice to meet you, hopefully we can connect later or something, I don't know. And then it was the following year I met him again at the rally, and we talked a bit more. And a lot of the publishers, they have to get comfortable with who you are as a writer, what you're doing, and some of them really like to know that you know about the music business. So the interview I have with Black Toast Music in the course, he really kind of goes through that, and you'll get an idea of what he thinks that we should be doing as songwriters and all that. So it took a little bit of a while to develop that relationship with him, but he was responsive, which is good. I mean, some people email and then you hear like nothing. And then email again, you hear like nothing. And I'm after a few tries, I'm usually not that good at keep trying, but I've read two things. I've read, contact them, and then if you don't hear back, don't bug them. And then I've heard another school of thought where it's like, okay, if you don't hear back, email them again next month, then email them again next month. Eventually they're going to open your email, kind of thing. So you kind of have to balance it, I think, a little bit.
I would say just, be consistent like that, but don't be annoying. I mean, right. I remember I did an interview with Cheryl B. Englehart, and she said that she wanted to work for this one jingle house, and she just called them once a month, every month. And then after 10 months, they gave her a job.
Right.
But she wasn't annoying. She's just checking in, is there any opportunity there?
Right. Yeah. So you can definitely do it in a way that's not annoying. I mean, you definitely don't want to be that guy or girl that's obnoxious, that's not listening, that, is just being totally annoying to somebody, because you can ruin a career pretty quickly that way. So
yeah, it's a small world. Like, word gets around too. Yeah. Like, people will tell each other, like, don't open emails from this person.
Yeah.
So Caitlin just signed up. So there's a really good question here. Where did it go? Let's see. Yeah, that's good. There was one about, your advice about scheduling your time and dealing with deadlines. I travel and work from home, and sometimes I get too crazy, and I get too, this is funny. I get too domestic when I'm at home, and I can't focus on music.
Yeah, I work from home, so it's like, you still get distracted with all the little stuff to take care of. Like, my husband's been away on business, and I'm looking at the kitchen going, oh God, I got to clean up. And I actually, and this is probably a module I'm going to add to the class, is on how to organize your day. There's I got 17 tips on, like, how to go about setting your goals. And, everybody has 30 minutes that you can find somewhere to go and sit down and write a song. Or you can do, like, maybe 30 minutes in the morning, you'll find a couple listings that interest you. And then at night, just sit down and see what you can start writing. It's all about sitting down and starting to do this work, and getting rid of and not looking at Facebook or email every 5 seconds, not thinking that every single thing on your list needs to be done that day. Maybe the laundry can wait. Maybe the dishwasher can wait. Maybe answering this email can wait. And you have to prioritize what is more important to you. For me, it's like getting this course done is more important than you going out to an open mic with some friends or something, and they may get a little pissed, but you know what? Music is a business, and we need to treat it like a business. We need to set goals, your top 3 goals you might have for the next 3 months, and then you set sub goals underneath them. And then you say, okay, 45 minutes a day, that's my time to look at Facebook and email. The rest of the time, I'm writing, or I'm looking at listings. I'm making connections with people that can produce my music. Okay, now I have an hour at lunch. I'm going to clean the house. It's being very rigid about your day. And I know Bree's got some great courses about that as well. And I
do. I teach a whole course on that, and it has changed my life looking at things like a lot of the things Michelle just said, because she went through my course too. But she's obviously organized, or she wouldn't be able to be doing what she's doing. But it really changes your life when you start calendaring things and calendaring things like songwriting. Like it seems like, oh, it has to be organic. Well, you have to get into the place to be organic, to start being organic, you know?
And then reading books like The War of Art. The War of Art is a freaking lifesaver because it basically, the premise is if you're going to do anything to change your life or to achieve some sort of goal, then he calls it resistance. He calls it the evil force resistance is going to come and knock you down. So when you read the book, you're going to see all these like little things that you do during the day that are basically there to distract you from achieving what you're supposed to be achieving. So read The War of Art, and he's got another book called Do the Work. And it's just, I have a couple video logs on YouTube about it too. So if you look me up on there, you can find them kind of summarizing it, because it's just eye-opening to be like, oh, so sitting there watching 5 hours of reality TV is detrimental. And so people do that. I mean, it's just, we're great to watch TV and sit and do nothing while we're thinking about all these things we have to do. And I'm not saying you guys do that, but I know I've done that in the past. So yes.
Let's see. So I think that's all the questions on my list. If anybody has any more questions, like 1 more minute, I'll see if a question pops up, and then we'll go ahead. And this is good. It's only 10:34, my time, 10:34. Last night we were going almost 2 full hours because we had a lot of questions. So glad I was able to access the chat. That made all the difference. I don't know what was going on. I could only see my posts and not anyone else's, which is really weird. I'm going to be working on this chat for future webinars and try to figure out a better solution. Let's see. How do you make the transition from this is who I was, status quo, low expectations, bad experiences, to this is who I am, living from your passions?
So that's a little bit of what the Daydreamer course talks about too, that I have. And, I went through this. I actually have a course I'm developing on this kind of very transforming kind of fear fighting thing, because I didn't believe in myself for like the longest time. And I had to actually face a lot of my demons. I did go through counseling, and good counseling though, because I'd been through counseling before, and it's just like, this person doesn't give a crap, and finally figured out what was really my issue was. And it took time, but once I was able to break through that, all of a sudden I'm like, I can do anything I want to do. Now it's just a matter of, figuring out how to do that and goal setting and all that kind of stuff. But you really have to face what your fears are and what's holding you back. And to be able to move forward in this type of setting and get to where you want to go. And if you do that and are willing to do that, you will be able to move forward and you won't be stuck anymore. It is a process, but those 2 books I mentioned will start to help with that. Because there's a lot of people that are like, well, I just don't want to do all the tools. I just want to go from point A to point B and be a person that can follow and do all this stuff I want to do. It doesn't always work that way. There's no easy answer for that, but I will certainly let you guys know when I have the fighting fears and kind of moving forward thing. I mean, that's actually a big life goal of mine, is to get that out. I teach a course at my church called Search for Significance, which deals with a lot of those fears and stuff too. And that was really helpful, because sometimes you don't know the way you're feeling and acting is because of certain fears that you might have. You're not aware. Once you're made aware, then you're like, aha, and then you find the tools to fight them. So.
Okay, this is a really good question that I mistakenly missed. If you sign an exclusive deal for film and TV for your song, so obviously they're getting the exclusive publishing, can you still put it on an album, and can you still sell it online on like Bandcamp?
It depends on your deal with the publisher. You just have to ask them. Some don't like that. Others will let you do that. So I've got both. Like Black Toast Music, they actually have a record label, Black Toast Records, and they'll release some stuff if it gets a good placement. And then I have a deal with another library that lets me release my own stuff and sell it. So it depends on the deal. So you just have to ask.
Okay, that's good advice.
Mhm.
So they said thank you for the books. Yeah, those are really good books. I always ask on my podcast people's favorite books, and that's one that comes up a lot, The
Yeah.
War of Art. Someone else mentioned Practicing a Guide to Making Music from the Heart. That sounds like a good book. I haven't heard that one. Which music libraries do you recommend? Which are most used and respected by music supervisors?
That's a loaded question.
Does it usually cost something, or is it red flag if it does cost something?
Yeah, if someone is going to make you pay to submit your music, I mean, other than the pay to pitch thing, but like if you find a library online and they're like, oh, it's only $20 to, put your music in this library, no, that's a no.
I have seen those actually.
I have too, and I don't do it. So, I was going to say,
you don't know what their track record is. I mean, if they can
right.
like show you a huge list of placements that they've had, then I might consider it, but they usually can't.
And they can make that up too,
That's true.
They should be paying me to take my music.
Yeah.
I mean, Black Toast and Crucial are very highly respected music libraries. And you can find out on Music Library Report. I mean, I got a lot of instrumental placements through Jingle Punks, and they're fine. My Music is another one that's non-exclusive. And they got me some placements too. And then, I mean, there are some others that are on the exclusive end, but, technically, if you want to vet some of those out, like feel free to email me or Bree, like if you are looking at, Music Library Report and you look up something online and you just want to ask me a question about, is this legit or not? What do you think about this library? I'm certainly open to those kinds of questions, because you have to build those relationships. I can't always, some of the libraries don't want to be mentioned. They don't want like unsolicited people finding them. You really kind of have to find them through listing submissions and through networking at conferences. And that, can get us in trouble. But I was going to say royalty-free places like, Pond 5 and Audio Sparks are kind of some good places to look at to put some of your music in initially without that much risk.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, I still get like anywhere from $25 to like $100 every quarter from Audio Sparks, just having stuff up there.
Yeah.
I don't do anything with it ever.
Yeah, most of mine's from like their Radio Sparks division, which I might end up adding more songs to that. I'm like, well, if I can triple and double that income per quarter, why not?
So what about Audio Goat? Someone's asking. I don't know.
Never heard of that one.
Sorry, Music Goat, not Audio Goat. Music Goat. I don't know that one.
I don't know that one either, but I'm going to look it up.
So I did put Michelle's email into the chat if you want to email her with questions about the course, or like she said, if you have a music library question or you just want her to vet something for you that you don't know how to know, and she probably already knows. Getting a lot of thanks. It was great. Back to work. Oh man. Sorry.
Yeah, back to work.
Yeah, me too. I got to go back to work writing emails and reviewing music and stuff. Can you name specific places where you can send your music and songs to be placed in TV, film, etc., blah, blah, blah. Needs specifics, needs places also that takes Christian music.
I don't know about the Christian music thing, but music, you can get a list of places from Music Library Report, and then you can look them up on the internet, and if it says submit music here, then as long as they don't look like there's some shady website, because some of the websites will get on and you're like, I don't know about that, then you can submit to them directly. And that's another avenue to do that, to get a whole list of places to start looking at. And I do that too. Every once in a while I'll go in. Another good one, Film and TV Network. I don't think that's the right website, but just quickly, let me just look it up. So I can get you the right website. Filmmusic.net. Filmmusic.net. They have like per submission, it's like $5.99. That's a good place. They have some pretty good listings, but that's a good place to send in some music and to the listings. And usually you'll hear back, and they kind of track whether they've been listened to or not. So that one I would check as well. I do give some resources in the course. It's still up to you to kind of vet everything out, you know, and see what's good and what's not good.
So Tony says Word and Hillsongs for Christian music. Absolutely. I hadn't thought of that. By the way, Tony, like, she really helps artists. She used to, I don't know if she still does this. Tony, do you still do this? The Pitch a Song. She had these Pitch a Song nights in LA, which were so great. She'd invite, you know, artists to come and pitch their song, and all the decision makers would come and, you know, choose songs from the evening. So let's see, Curb in Nashville for Christian music. That's another option, she says. Grateful for all your, okay, you have given out, blah, blah, blah. Great, thanks so much. All right, thank you, you guys. I am going to say goodbye now and go deal with the fact that my garbage disposal is broken. Speaking of domestic issues.
Always, yeah, something, right?
Yeah, it really is. If it's not a tree falling on my house, it's the garbage disposal is broken. So have a great day, you guys. And thanks so much for coming.
Thank you.
Happy music making.